It's time to talk about Hannibal.
Yes.
We're joined by showrunner Bryan Fuller. Caroline Dhavernas plays Alana on the show, and Martha de Laurentiis is a producer.
Matriarch of all things Hannibal.
On this very wonderful. I'm going to give a warning right now to anybody that is not caught up on Hannibal. A, go get caught up on Hannibal.
Get caught up.
It is an amazing show. And B, I'm going to spoil
There's going to be
it.
some probably heavy spoilers here.
Heavy spoilers ahead, so
Season
big
2
warning.
ended fairly recently.
Yeah.
Everyone went nuts about it. Everybody loves it. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
We do. We love the show here. I am a little worried. Am I going to see your beautiful face again?
Well, you will see Alana again. What shape will she be in? That remains a mystery, even to me. But on Hannibal, when you're dead, sometimes you'll be even more present than when you're alive. So you never really know.
Oh, a little ghosting is possible. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing a little ghosting. I mean, you have said that there are going to be no shenanigans. Like, someone's going to die.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Someone in Hannibal's house is dying.
Okay. We don't know who that, but this is a huge shakeup on the series, right? So, especially moving forward, right? Because if Will is dead or Jack is dead, that changes the whole trajectory of this story. So, how far off book are you willing to go?
We kind of departed book in a few ways, because the big departure from the books is that Hannibal Lecter and Will Graham were never friends. Hannibal Lecter met Will Graham when he came to his office to investigate him, and then was like, that's the guy. And that was it. So our big departure from the series has already caused a ripple effect. So, and we've killed characters off that are in the books that are still alive in Red Dragon, and so we are very much Thomas Harris mashup DJs, where we will spin tracks from Red Dragon to lyrics from the book Hannibal, and we mix everything up.
You're like the Quentin Tarantino.
We have a Tarantino-esque approach to the show, where mash it up, mix it up, and we play a lot with timelines as well in the third season. So the first episode starts a year after the finale.
Okay, so let's dig into that a little bit, because you're right. I mean, as I'd read the whole book series when I was like 11, which is not okay, I know, but
we would have been great friends.
And I've loved the way that it sort of, we can be great friends now. I've loved the way it sort of reworked the mythos, and the fact that Will hasn't beaten Hannibal is huge to me, right? So who is the smartest guy in the room? Who is it? Bedelia? Who can beat this guy? Who can outsmart him?
Well, I think the interesting thing with the dynamic between Will Graham and Hannibal Lecter is that they are two sides of the same coin in many respects. And there was a line in Red Dragon, which is when Hannibal says to Will, "You caught me because you're like me." Mm-hmm. And we're really exploring that idea, and how much alike are these two people, and how much has Will changed Hannibal, and how much has Hannibal changed Will.
Let's talk about where Alana was at when she really understood in that moment the depth of the betrayal, who Hannibal really was. Like, what was happening for her emotionally?
Well,
besides
the whole
physical
season
pain.
was such a roller coaster for her, even for who is Will. And I think it was so shaky who Will was, that Hannibal was a stone. He was like, she knew who he was for sure, and she was confident that she could be very close to him and needed that. And so I think it was a complete shock, like utter, I mean, she didn't know who was who anymore, even Jack. Who can I trust? If this guy is who he is, then who can I trust anymore? Yeah.
You teased a little bit about how you're going to be coming in a time jump. So let's talk about that as well, because my understanding is that the first episode isn't going to address that huge cliffhanger that we're all dying to see. What happens with. You're going to focus on what's going on with Hannibal and Bedelia.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, what is that dynamic?
Well, the interesting thing there is that we are essentially in the first episode writing a whole new pilot that is about these two characters. So the show in that episode is really the talented Mr. Lecter, and how he gets away with it with his partner in crime, Bedelia du Maurier, played by Gillian Anderson.
So is she fundamentally a partner in crime? Is she maybe not playing him?
Bedelia is one of the smartest characters on the show, and we will understand that she is able to protect herself in really interesting ways even when she's dancing this close to the fire.
One of the things that we talk about a lot is the gore. I love the gore. I mean, it's gorgeous, so beautifully rendered, but I am so amazed, and I think we all are, that you've been able to get away with it.
Yeah.
And I want to talk to you, Martha, do you think it's just because, are you surprised that NBC has let you get away with it? Do you think it's just because it's so stylized?
I think, from the beginning, Jen Salke with NBC was very, very supportive, and she actually preempted us, to any other place to go by taking Hannibal. She loved it that much and saw the future of the show. And Bryan explained to her exactly, how he intended on shooting it and how much we really need to tell in the elevated horror that we've successfully done. And it is tricky. And Bryan and the team work very closely with the standards and practices. And it's the way that you shoot, whether you cool down the lights, cool down the reds. But it is gore, and we do push the envelope quite a bit, with the killings, the tableaus, cannibalism, still, all of that. But it's all, Bryan came out and coined it being food porn.
We are delicious.
Food porn.
It is totally, every time I feel so a little ashamed of myself because I'm like, it just looks wonderful. I feel like I'm watching the Food Channel at this point, right?
In talking to Jose Andres, who's our culinary consultant and a James Beard Award-winning chef, I was asking him about how would people taste compared to other animals, and he said chances are that people would taste better than any other animal because of the quality of the food that we take in and the way we live, that we probably are going to be very, very tasty if anybody gets a fork in us.
Has there ever been a moment, a moment that you self-edited and said, okay, all right, maybe that's really too far, or a moment that even you as a viewer watching something you've been a part of, you were like, that is really gross?
Well, when you're part of it, you see it. We poke the corpses, So at the end of the day, it's not as surprising anymore. But what's interesting is that you're still taken by the story. You've still seen everything, but you still feel something when you watch it, even though you're part of it. I don't remember being utterly shocked or anything like that. Maybe because I read it and then shot it, so you get used to the whole idea.
We had speaking of censoring ourselves, we had in the episode with the Vergers where Mason Verger essentially scoops out his sister's uterus so she doesn't have a way to have an offspring so she could kill him. We were going to take that even further, and the network was like, okay. And as we got into the production, we were like, maybe this is too far where we're going with this, because we were going to have him actually scoop out her uterus and put it into a corpse that has had its head and arms and legs removed and was just functioning as an incubator and was going to raise the child off the...
Leave that to David Lynch.
So we that was one of those where it's like, maybe the uterus removal is misogynist, but this is definitely misogynist. So let's not do that.
What do you like at a party?
I'm a ball at a party.
I believe it. Right now. Let's talk a little bit about the relationship between, this is what I thought when you're all lying there in a big pile of bloody, tragic mess. And it's as if Hannibal's won, right, in that moment. And I was thinking, it doesn't matter which one really lives and dies, because everyone's died in this moment. There is nobody that can get to Will, I don't think, other than Alana. And I want to hear what you guys think about that. I don't think there's anyone that can reach his real humanity other than your character.
Yeah, probably. I mean, they do have romantic feelings for each other, so he does open up in a way that he probably hasn't with many people before. I think he really trusts her. She has never blamed him for anything. She didn't like it when he hurt Hannibal.
Right.
But, she's
that.
never pointed a finger at him and said, you are a bad person, you are wrong, He has been wrong, but she's never judged him. That's what I want to say. So maybe because of that, I don't know, what do you think?
Well, I think that absolutely, so much of what we had in the first season with Alana and Will was that romantic dynamic, and she couldn't go there with him because he was so damaged. And I love that she was healthy enough to say, you're too screwed up for me to be in a relationship with. And then, by contrast, in the second season, Hannibal, in her point of view, was safe and sane, and so he was the rock that she swam to. And we all know, as the audience who's seen Silence of the Lambs and the scenes that Alana is not involved in, that for all intents and purposes, He's Fraser Crane.
Yeah.
He's a sexy Fraser Crane, and why wouldn't you jump into this act? Why wouldn't you?
Are you saying that Fraser Crane isn't sexy?
No, I think Fraser Crane has a very, very sex appeal.
It's really funny because my mom, just really quickly, she's the person that introduced me to this series, and she was texting me about what a crush she had on Mads, and then a certain episode came, and you guys probably know what it is, and she goes, "My girlish crush is over now."
Gosh, which one?
Yeah, I'll tell you later.
We have a question from one of our viewers here on Facebook that we're going to bring up. Zach Green asks, what new characters will we be seeing next season?
That's
if you can share.
Great question, Zach. Presumably you're a fan of the literature as we are, and we are going to be introducing quite a few characters from the books, both Hannibal Rising and Hannibal. In episode 2, we introduce Commander Pazzi, not to be confused with the Happy Days character, who we saw in the Hannibal film, the Italian detective. And then episode 3, we'll be introducing Lady Murasaki, who we saw in the film Hannibal Rising and is in that. Episode 4, we'll be introducing Cordell. Episode 8, we'll be introducing Francis Dollarhide. So, Zach, you're going to have a lot of new characters to play with.
This is great information that we're getting right now. So, you're heading towards Red Dragon. That still is the trajectory, right?
Yes.
I mean, is there any desire at all to just say, you know what, we've got such a great thing going here. We don't necessarily need to head through or do you desperately want to go through Red Dragon and Silence of the Lambs?
I think it's very important to go through Red Dragon because it is a chapter in Will Graham's relationship with Hannibal Lecter, because if you look at the book, what's happening between Will and Hannibal is now going through a proxy of Francis Dollarhide, and Francis Dollarhide has something that Hannibal Lecter doesn't, which is like an inkling of humanity left, and he's trying to stop. And so Will sees Francis Dollarhide as a version of Hannibal Lecter that he can actually save from himself. So I think it's an important arc.
We're unfortunately out of time today. I know, it's rough. But obviously, everyone's very excited for season 3 to see where it's going. Roth is on the edge of her seat.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, thanks so much for coming by today.
Thank you.